Today is the day. Today is when everything stops and a new beginning begins. Today is when you stop looking at the world pissed off and angry and look at it as a beautiful place where anything can happen. 'Cause right now, in this moment, is the backseat therapy session. And with that, let's begin. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Backseat Therapy Session. This is just a episode with me, Taylor, and I'm just gonna be kind of just talking, having my own little session right now, just kind of like talking about the week and things I've realized ever since I started reading this book called The Outliers by Malcom Gladwell. It's really kind of brought some insight into outliers, and outliers are basically people who are able to break through a bunch of layers at young ages. That's basically what it is. An outlier is someone who's able to accomplish their goals and their dreams by fulfilling their 10,000 hours requirement, which is basically accumulation of 10 years, if that's all they do. And one of the interesting things that the book talks about is that there are three things that make someone successful. The first thing is vision, the second thing is talent, and the third thing is opportunity. And it's kind of interesting how those are so simple. You have an idea, you somehow either are born with or work really hard to accomplish that, and then over time you get good at it, and then because of that, things start to happen to you, and then you are able to take that and then hopefully make it the best it possibly can be, and it's just a giant recycled cycle of that. And it's weird to think about it. They talked about Bill Gates and how when he was a kid he went to school and they had the very first computer, so him and these people in this club would work on it, and one of the parents in that club, whose child was in that club, was also working with computers at their job, and they had them on the weekend, the students on the weekends, come in and take care of the computers. And Bill Gates would not only work on the computers at school, but then he'd work on computers at that other place with the student's mom. And then there would also be times where he would go to sleep at his bedtime, in quotes, and then when his parents left his room, he would sneak out, go back to that job, and then start working on computers again. And then by the time he was he was basically in his 20s, where he basically was able to fulfill that 10,000 hours and become the person he is today. And that really just proves vision, talent, and opportunity. He had a vision with computers. He worked really hard and became talented with computers. Someone gave him an opportunity and he ran with it. The only thing I don't like about outliers is that they're usually at 11 years old and they're already pretty amazing at something. The reason that bugs me is because it doesn't matter what age you are, you can still be an outlier, but it makes it seem like an outlier, and it's like categorized as a young person who's been able to clock in these hours. I mean, it's very fascinating, and those people do deserve props that are able to somehow create something before they're even 20 years old, and literally change the foundation of life. But that's not fair to 20-year-olds, or like, especially like the people I surround myself with is comics and comedians. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but right now I am doing stand-up comedy. I know a lot of stand-up comedians and comics have podcasts, and I enjoy talking. So here's just an excuse for me to talk to 30 minutes to an hour and a half. So I took it. But anyways, there are so many basically outliers at comedy clubs, but because they're not 12 years old doing stand-up, then I guess they're not an outlier. And I guess when it comes to artists and actors and musicians and comics and anyone else with a talent, if you're not great at it by 15, then you're not an outlier. And like I believe that everybody should live their life of telling themselves they are an outlier, because everything people do and you do is going to be amazing no matter what if you yourself believe in yourself. And that's why sometimes I don't like labels, is because there's so many categorizations of that label, and if you don't fit into that label, you're not that person. But also, if you fit into one label, you're labeled that forever, and sometimes labels aren't even that good or great. And I don't know, just like this book, it's really fascinating. I really do people really should read this book. It's really fascinating. It's really interesting. Just more on a positive note and something just much more inspirational. The Beatles were actually performed at strip clubs almost every single night of the week for 8 hours. So they did their 10,000 hours rather quickly in a way, because technically their day job, their 8 hour job, was to perform at strip clubs. And I just think that was just kind of funny. I don't know why, but just the idea of the Beatles performing at strip clubs, and especially at the beginning, where they weren't too good, still trying to find their voice, it just kind of brings joy to me, and it's kind of cool just to think how I'm going to a comedy club and I bomb. That means that the Beatles bombed at a strip club. It just it's just kind of funny for me, I guess. I don't know. I just thought it was also really cool. A lot of people don't know this, or a lot of people do know this, depending on the circles you run in. Billy Gardell, who's a stand-up comedian, but he's also in the TV show Mike and Molly. He plays Mike, and he was actually in a strip club at the bottom of the strip club doing stand-up when he got the call from the Mike and Molly producers saying he got the part. So it's just kind of funny how a strip club could be a strip club could be someone's start. It was the Beatles' starts of them becoming greats, and it was Billy Gardell's start of becoming a much more successful actor, which then allowed him, I'm hoping, to become a much more successful comedian. And it's just kind of funny if maybe, if you could tell the future through the past, one day things aren't going too well and I'm in a strip club doing stand up, then hopefully, my shot or my opportunity or my big break will be just around the corner. And if that's not that, I mean, $40 for a lap dance doesn't seem that too bad, anyways. Um, so with that, do read the book The Outliers, and I would like to say that I found out the book through actor, comedian, podcaster Brian Callen from The Fighter and the Kid. So if you do want to hear more from him and get some actual insight on someone who's actually who's really smart, do listen to Brian Callen's podcast, The Fighter and the Kid. You can also listen to the podcast he had before, which was the Brian Callen Show. That one was really interesting and really fun. I enjoy that. So I just want to give a shout out to Brian Callen for telling me about the book and making me realize that I should probably get a lot smarter. So I really want to say thanks to him, and I want to say thanks to the people who are still listening to this portion. And so recently I've been trying to lose weight, and it's been going quite well. I mean, there's a bunch of ups and downs. In the month of February, I lost 8 pounds, and my goal was 4 pounds, 1 pound a week. But somehow I was able to do that, and I'm really happy. Um, and I'm also weirdly not satisfied enough. I'm not proud of myself yet. I assumed I'd go down to the weight I would want to go to, which is 160, and right now I'm 161. And I'm just not. I need more. I want to do more. So my new goal is by the end of March, or this month. Hopefully, it's March. It's March. It's definitely March. Anyways, I want to lose technically 11 pounds, and I want to be at the weight 150. That's my goal right now, is to be at the weight of 150, and then once I get to that weight, I'm hoping that maybe my body will transform the way I'm kind of hoping it transforms, and then I'm either gonna try to learn Muay Thai or start going to hot yoga. By the way, hot yoga is not like sexy yoga. It's where they crank up the heat really hot, and then you do yoga as you're sweating, trying to focus on doing the poses. Um, I had to Google that to make. No, I'm kidding. I didn't have to Google that. Joe Rogan talks about doing hot yoga all the time, and I've been curious about it. So, to accomplish this goal, because it's been difficult for me to go on runs and do kettlebells, mainly because all these things that keep happening with school, work, and stand up. I decided to challenge myself by putting myself on a sugar-free diet. So I basically have no sugar whatsoever. So I've been mainly eating lettuce, a small amount of fruit, just kind of in the morning, or at night, just so I can feel I have a little snack, plus like turkey and ham, and I'll also occasionally eat some eggs. So that's basically what I've been sticking with. And to be honest, technically, Wednesday is my first day, which is today. But I did start last Saturday, and I went through Saturday and Sunday. It was a little rocky, but then when it came down to Monday, I was just so busy. I was so hungry and stressed out by work and school that I forgot to eat, and then I went to an open mic, and I bombed. Um, and then I got home around 1 o'clock in the morning, and instead of going to sleep like I usually do, because then I have work at 6:30 in the morning, I decided to just eat all the disgusting junk food that was in my house, which is basically muffins, candy, lots of candy. Uh, I think some cereal, a lot of cereal. There was a good thing there was no ice cream because that would have been gone too. And I kind of just learned from that experience that I hope if anyone does decide to go on a diet where they are eating no sugar and they're very stressed out, to get a support buddy or get someone to do it with you. Just anybody who's willing to have you call them and then tell them what's going on in your head and just to get some support. I'm not saying that I don't have any support like that, but it is difficult to find people to call at 1 o'clock in the morning to tell them you're trying not to eat sugar and that you bombed at a comedy thing because most people are sleeping. So I'm going to start doing a little extra segment on this podcast where after an open mic and I bomb and I feel like eating sugar, I'm just going to talk into the microphone of the iPod, just kind of put it somewhere in my car, and then put that on a bonus Sunday edition, and I'll put it. Taylor complains about wanting sugar. That way, no one clicks on it. Then all they hear me is complaining if they don't want to hear that. But I do feel that it will be very helpful for some people who are in the same boat I am or a similar boat, because there's got to be a way to know what goes on during a diet. Like Chris Pratt from Parks and Recreation was fat, and then all of a sudden, over time, he gets all thin, and he's on Guardians of the Galaxy. And I'm sure there's like Instagram posts of him working out and stuff, but no one really knows what happens at 2 a.m. on the first month of him eating better and working out and all that stress, and him trying to get himself motivated and trying to get himself to wake up. No one really knows that. We just see the end product, and I feel that this will be a great way for people to know about what happens between point A and point B, because I'm not an actor. No one's going to pay me millions of dollars to be in their movie. No one's going to pay me, and barely anybody's going to realize that I did lose weight. I'm losing it for me, but it's still difficult for everybody. And part of me just kind of hopes that being able to have another therapy session, so it'd be 3, I'll also get some help with myself, just kind of letting it all out. But also, if I post 3 things on Instagram and Facebook, then more people will see that I'm posting more, and then hopefully more people will watch or listen to my podcast, which would be really, really cool. Um, yeah, so just on podcast news, I'm going to have a Sunday version of the, I guess, mainly complaining about the diet, in air quotes. And then, uh, I'm also going to only be doing, audio versions of this because, it takes too much time to carry around a camera, set it up, find good lighting, and also my room's a mess, so it looks ugly anyways. And plus, if I record it, it takes much easier. It takes a lot less time to upload to YouTube, and because I'm trying to move to the iTunes podcast app, it's audio anyways, so it'd be a good idea to just start getting used to audio, and it's easier for me anyways. I like it. I can just sit here and talk and just kind of forget where to look and all this kind of stuff, and it's really fun for me. And I mean, it's easier for people who are like studying or people who are writing essays or checking something. They don't have to say like they can just listen to it. They don't have to like just watch something because they're afraid they're gonna miss something. So I think it's just easier, well, all around. And I really wish I could end this on a positive, inspirational note, but right now I can't. It's just kind of, I don't got anything inspirational inside of me right now. But I do encourage anyone to go on a sugar-free diet just for a couple of days to see what happens. It did kind of open my eyes when I did do it on Saturday and Sunday, and I hope whoever listens to this maybe does get inspired to do the same thing I'm doing, or maybe they'll read the Outliers book because it is really fascinating, and it really just kind of opens your mind to people who are famous now took 10 to 15 years to become famous now. So it doesn't just happen overnight. There's a lot of work that goes into it that then turns into it finally coming together overnight. And because of that, I'm able to watch TV and watch the Grammys if I do, or the Oscars, which I didn't. But I still have a better understanding of it, that these people took a lot of time to come up with a product, and then someone's finally saying, here's a reward. And with that, you know what? Have a good day, and thank you for listening, and thank you for allowing me to just kind of have another session. And I feel this was a really good session, and I'm ready to conquer today and the next one and the next one. And with that, have a good day, guys.